Hey guys, it's Coach Matt with Lifelong Recovery. So this is part two of the video of 5 tips for how to get through bad days. So just to recap, the first thing I said in the first video was to get outside of your own head. And one thing I forgot to mention was, along with changing your environment, changing the who you're hanging out with, whether it's other people or just being by yourself. They say an addict alone is in bad company. Another very powerful thing that I found was just taking a nap. So it may sound weird, but sometimes in early recovery, I literally felt like the world was crashing down around me. And literally just taking a nap, it was kind of like it reset things. So I would wake up and I would just feel better. I would just feel more able to handle my emotions and whatever was going on. So this can be a really powerful tool in early recovery, especially. In fact, one of the acronyms that you hear for early recovery is HALT, HALT. So they say, watch out if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, that you're literally at more of a risk for relapse if you're in any of those states. So the second thing that I mentioned was that you can start your day over at any time. And just to reiterate, literally, if you're having a bad day, just take a moment, gather yourself, and just really think to yourself, I'm going to start my day over. It's going to be a better day from here on out. It may sound silly again, but these are effective tools to get the mind in a better place. And number three, I said, was to connect to something bigger than you, whether that is something spiritual, it's being with your family, some kind of support group, doing some kind of volunteer work, joining a sports team, hanging out with just good people, literally connecting to something bigger and more powerful than yourself, something positive can be a very effective a tool. So number four, and I mentioned this before, is to put your thoughts on trial. So what I mean by that, again, in the first video, I talked about how feelings aren't facts, right? Because of the substance use, the emotional part of my brain actually overrides the rational part of my brain. So I stop thinking as much with that rational side and start thinking more with the emotional side. And really what happens is my emotions start to influence my choices, even more so than the average person. Probably most people, there's some kind of combination of the emotions and just your rational thoughts and everything that kind of work together to make your choices. But what happens with substance abuse is it literally changes your brain again, and my emotions start to override that rational part of my brain. So, as you can imagine, if I'm making decisions based on almost purely based on my emotions, it's not a good place to be. So, one of the things that is really important is to put my thoughts on trial. And what I mean by that is if I'm feeling a certain way, if I'm thinking a certain way, then I need to really challenge that thought and that feeling, especially it's a seriously negative feeling. So I'll give you an example. When I was in my addiction, my self-esteem, I mentioned this before, my self-esteem just really plummeted. I just went down and down and down. The longer I was drinking and using, the longer that I was trying to quit and I couldn't quit, it just made me feel like a bad person and I wasn't worthy and all these things. So, one of the things that I started telling myself on a regular basis, and it wasn't like I actively was choosing to think this, but as my brain kind of changed more and more and got more negative, I started telling myself I was a piece of shit. And I really struggled with worthiness and all this stuff. So when I got clean and sober, these thoughts continued. And here's the thing, guys. One of the reasons that this happens is unconsciously my brain is looking for reasons to continue using. So it's actively looking for reasons for me to fuck it. Seriously, it's crazy. So it's much easier to start thinking more negatively and pessimistically to give your brain an excuse to get fucked up. And my brain literally wants this. It enjoys the way that it feels. And again, remember, my rational side of my rational parts of my brain are not working as well as they used to. So now my influences are taking over and I just want to get fucked up more and more. And my brain is kind of helping me do that, unfortunately. So, really putting my thoughts on trial, really consciously dissecting these thoughts and feelings. Am I a piece of shit? No. I've done shitty things in my addiction, yes. But does that make me a piece of shit? No. And one of the biggest things, one of the most effective tools to use with this, if you have this negative self talk, is to think about somebody else who's in your position. If you had a friend, a family member, or even a stranger who, let's say, they became addicted to substances, but they were trying to change their life around. They were genuinely trying to change things around and become a better person, make better decisions, and just be the kind of person that they wanted to be. Probably you would not discourage them. Probably you would not say, hey, you're just a piece of shit. You're a worthless piece of shit. Why are you even fucking trying? Right? You're probably going to encourage them. And it's probably going to come from a place of authenticity where you really want that person to do better for themselves and you feel for them that they're trying to change their lives around. So afford yourself the same courtesy. You give yourself the same grace that you would give somebody else who's in a similar position. And then the fifth thing fifth thing is utilize positive media. And this may sound weird or whatever, but guess what? You're doing it right now, right? So just continue to do that. Seek out positive messages. Everybody needs inspiration when they're trying to quit substances. Everybody needs hope. So seek out things that are going to change your thinking for the better, that are positive messages, inspirational messages. If you're a spiritual person, then spiritual messages are really helpful for this. But you're probably going to need a lot of encouragement and just that hope. And this is what my whole since I've been in recovery, this has been such a huge thing to me. It's just like, holy shit, I don't have to keep living this way. Come follow me. You know what I mean? Like, I want other people to know, like, you're not alone. You don't have to just keep living like this. There's hope. You can choose a better life for yourself. It's going to take some time and some effort, but I promise you can do this. I know I always say this, but there's so many people living in recovery. It definitely is possible. You just got to stick to it. So guys, I appreciate you watching this. If you're having a bad day, I hope this was helpful. I hope you get through the day. Don't drink or use. You don't have to, I promise. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys.